Welcome to N3 Prime Time, where news comes alive. I'm Angie Rest, and boy, do we have a show for you. First up, former President Trump shakes the political world with a fiery video on Truth Social. Gary Franchi will dive deep into the explosive details. Financial guru Robert Kiyosaki rings the alarm on potential economic turbulence. Is your wallet ready? And mark your calendars, Trump is set to drop a Georgia election bombshell on August 21st. Meanwhile, a tweet faux pas from the White House press secretary sparks a whirlwind of speculation. Plus, as Maui battles raging wildfires, President Biden's response ignites its own firestorm. Later on, we'll dive deep into the Prime tweets and read your thoughts. And who's causing waves and looking at you? Find out soon. Now over to the maestro of news, Gary Franchi.
Thanks, Angie. Good evening. In a world clouded by uncertainty and disruption, understanding the stories unfolding around us isn't just about staying informed. It's about securing our future and ensuring the America we pass on is resilient and prosperous. Tonight, we delve into narratives that test the core of our national integrity, political allegations, the pillars of our economy, and the very authenticity of our leaders. These aren't just headlines, they're touchstones of our national discourse. Now, speaking of foundations, consider this. Since the 1970s, the U.S. dollar has lost a staggering 85% of its value. Picture your hard-earned savings dwindling akin to water slipping through your fingers. As we brace for upcoming elections, there's a looming potential for unchecked money printing, stoking the fires of inflation, but there is an antidote. Gold is a beacon that has historically withstood the tremors of inflation. By investing with Noble Gold Investments, a sponsor of this program, you're not just hedging against uncertainty, you're laying down a marker for your future. Plus, act now, and you'll receive a free quarter-ounce gold standard coin. Visit noblegoldinvestments.com or call them at 877-646-5347. And even if you're not investing, give them a call and just simply thank them for sponsoring this program. Because without them, well, we just wouldn't be here. So make the move before the ground shifts beneath you. And now, Angie, what essential stories are you tracking for us this evening?
Good evening, N3 Primetime viewers. Tonight's stories grip the very heart of our nation's spirit and shape. We start with a heart-wrenching rise of homelessness, soaring to figures we've never seen before. Can our cities find a way to bridge the gap between high rents and increasing despair? Next, a headline that may sound like fiction: Treasury Secretary Janet Yellen's taste for hallucinogenic mushrooms? As social media ignites, what does this mean for our administration's credibility? Meanwhile, Clinton and Maddow spark fierce debates on election integrity. Where does the truth lie amidst claims and counterclaims? Then, is Hollywood feel-good story from The Blind Side all it seems? Michael Oher says otherwise. And wrapping up, a tweet mishap from the White House that makes us wonder who's truly behind the presidential Twitter handle. These aren't just stories, they're moments defining our present and shaping our future. Stay with us for deep dives and unraveled insights. Gary, what do you have for our first special report tonight?
Good evening, America. I'm here with a special report that you simply cannot afford to miss. Straight from the Truth Social account of President Trump, he's dropped a video that promises to shatter the very foundation of the Biden administration. These aren't mere allegations or rumors, but bold claims that, if true, could reshape the way we perceive our nation's leadership. The implications of what Trump is hinting at, they're staggering. By the end of tonight's report, you'll understand the depth of this seismic revelation. We dive into the scandalous ties between the Biden family and foreign entities. So stay with me, because my final thought will piece together the puzzle that could reshape the destiny of America. Now, in the video, Trump kicks off with an accusation that could stun anyone. The Biden family, he says, collected a cool $20 million from foreign countries while Biden was vice president. And that might just be a fraction of what's really out there. Watch.
It is now 100% proven that the Biden crime family received more than $20 million from foreign countries while Crooked Joe was vice president, and probably a lot more than that. That's just the money they found. Not one of Joe Biden's defenders has even attempted to explain what Joe and his family did, including his children and his grandchildren. What were they doing getting all of this money? I believe we have a compromised president. He was bribed, and now he's being blackmailed. He's a Manchurian candidate That's why Crooked Joe is letting other countries walk all over the United States. He's afraid to bring it up. He doesn't want to talk about it. He's petrified of China because they know exactly how much money has been given to him, and they know exactly where it is. China has paid him a fortune. Just think of what China has gotten for all that money. Biden shut down my administration's initiative targeting Chinese spies in the United States. He shut it down cold. He let China off the hook for COVID. He shut down the investigation into the origins of the China virus. He did nothing as China began setting up bases in Cuba, taking over South America, and threatening Taiwan. They even took over the Panama Canal. We spent a fortune building it. Jimmy Carter's administration sold it for $1. We lost 36,000 people building the Panama Canal. The mosquitoes got them, malaria. The mosquitoes got them. And now China controls it. Russia and China are even doing military exercises near the Aleutian Islands, right off the coast of Alaska. And Biden sits back on his hands. He does nothing. This never would have happened if I was president. If they even thought about it, I would have shut it down instantly. There's no way they would have done any of this kind of thing, including Russia invading Ukraine would have never happened. And China wouldn't even be thinking about Taiwan right now. Crooked Joe's corruption is a glaring threat to national security. Between the millions and millions of dollars he's gotten from China and the millions of dollars from Ukraine, Joe Biden's greed and criminality is going to get us into World War III. We're going to be in World War III with this guy. Grossly incompetent man. Now the corrupt Biden DOJ is continuing the cover-up with the appointment of a special counsel to block further investigation. It's the very same U.S. attorney who cut Hunter Biden the scandalous plea deal that was such a scam it didn't survive the barest scrutiny in court. It was done under what's called blue slip. It wasn't picked in that position by President Trump. It was picked by the Democrat senators in the state. It's called a blue slip. You'll check it out. But they picked him. I didn't pick him. This is corruption like our country has never seen before. That is why as soon as I am reelected, I will appoint a real special counsel, or maybe you'll call it a special prosecutor, whatever you want to call it, you can, to look at all of these bribes, kickbacks, and other crimes, as well as the shameless attempt at a cover-up. Justice will be done. The Biden crime family will be looked at. We have to get there first. We have to win the election. They're trying to step in my way at every path because the one person they don't want to run is Donald Trump. But when we get there, the Biden crime family will pay a price like other people are being forced to pay. And that price will be very, very substantial. It'll be fair. But you know what? If they're guilty, they're going to be guilty. What they are doing to justice in this country has never even been thought of before. Thank you very much.
So if this is true, what does this mean for our country? There's not a word from Biden or his camp to refute or clarify these alarming claims. Trump is essentially arguing here that we have a president who may have been bought, not by lobbyists within our borders, but by foreign powers halfway around the globe. He labels Biden a Manchurian candidate, a man he suggests whose strings are being pulled by foreign puppet master. And then Trump takes us to China. According to him, Biden isn't just being allegedly letting China off easy, he's been helping them. He cites Biden's shutdown of his administration's initiative targeting Chinese spies in America, his inaction over China's increasingly aggressive stances, and his halting of investigations into the origins of the pandemic. Trump recalls the Panama Canal, a strategic waterway, lamenting the fact that China now has control over an asset that was once a significant American triumph. He reminds us of the 36,000 Americans who died building it, now seemingly in vain, as China holds this significant card. He pins this as a demonstration of Biden's fear of confronting China, a major world power. And Trump doesn't stop at China. He points to Russia's boldness, military exercises off the coast of Alaska, their aggression towards Ukraine, and suggests that this kind of audacity on the part of foreign powers would be unthinkable under his watch. And to Trump, this is more than policy. It's proof of personal and political compromise at the highest level of our government. Consider Russia and China's recent military exercises near Alaska. Trump suggests that these countries are increasingly brazen in their operations, conducting drills dangerously close to American soil. Under his administration, Trump assures us that this would have been an unambiguous red line, swiftly and decisively enforced. As for Taiwan, Trump paints a picture of an emboldened China inching ever closer to a takeover. He ties this back to Biden, asking us to consider whether China would be so bold if the President of the United States wasn't, as Trump suggests, compromised. And then there's the issue of a cover-up. Trump doesn't hold back in accusing the Biden Department of Justice of working to protect not justice, but the Bidens. He lambastes the appointment of a special counsel, seeing as a ploy to block deeper investigation into these matters. In Trump's eyes, the rot goes deeper still. The plea deal offered to Hunter Biden, in Trump's view, it's not justice, it's a scam, a sleight of hand meant to divert our gaze from what Trump sees as corruption like our country has never seen before. Trump is also acutely critical of the handling of the Biden crime family by the DOJ. He mentions a special counsel appointed to block further investigation, emphasizing that the individual selected was not chosen by him but by Democrat senators. In Trump's narrative, this is nothing short of a cover-up organized and executed by the very people meant to uphold justice in our country. He voices deep concerns over the national security implications of Biden's alleged corruption. And in Trump's view, Biden's reported financial ties to foreign powers don't just represent personal corruption, they threaten the safety and security of every American citizen. He explicitly tells us that we are on the precipice of World War III under Joe Biden. And at the end, Trump goes beyond critique and pledges action. He commits to appointing a special prosecutor to investigate Biden and his family if he returns to the White House. This is not mere retribution, he argues. It is a necessary step to root out corruption and restore integrity to the American Republic. And he finishes with a call to action, urging his supporters to help him win the election. In his eyes, his return to office is the only path to uncovering the alleged corruption and potentially saving the country from international humiliation and destruction. And he ends with a vow, a promise, that if he returns to the office, he will appoint a real special counsel to scrutinize these allegations, the so-called bribes and kickbacks and crimes, and he aims to not just reveal the truth, but to restore integrity to the American system. This is Trump's plea to the American people, to recognize what he sees as the clear and present danger in the White House, and to join him in rooting it out for the sake of our nation's future. America, we've always been a beacon of hope, democracy, and truth. If even a fraction of these allegations hold water, then it's not just the presidency that's compromised, but our very values as a nation. When foreign entities allegedly influence the highest office in our land, it's not merely a political scandal, it's a potential threat to our national security. As citizens, it's our duty to ask questions, to demand answers, and to hold our leaders accountable. This is not about politics. It's about preserving the American dream for future generations. Trump's revelations, controversial as they may be, shine a light on areas that we can't afford to ignore. So whether you're a Trump supporter or not, understanding these implications is crucial, because the integrity of our democracy, of our republic, isn't just about who sits in the Oval Office. It's about ensuring the office itself remains untarnished. America deserves that much. Good night. Now, Angie, with a distressing rise in homelessness affecting over 500,000 Americans, what can you tell us about this growing crisis?
Thanks, Gary. The U.S. is witnessing a dramatic rise in homelessness, with a record 11% surge this year, impacting over 500,000 Americans. This increase is the largest since official tracking began over 15 years ago, emphasizing a deepening nationwide crisis. Factors intensifying the situation include the steep hike in housing costs post the expiration of COVID relief funds and the end of eviction moratoriums. The national median rent now hovers at $2,029, reflecting a 15% increase post-pandemic. Concurrently, cities like San Francisco, Los Angeles, and New York deal with rising homelessness, drug addiction, and crime. This unfolding scenario calls for immediate, holistic interventions beyond short-term fixes, urging a shift from political discourse to actionable solutions. Dive deeper, get the whole story by tapping the link in our bio. Gary, with Robert Kiyosaki shedding light on a potential BRICS strategy to challenge the dollar's dominance, What insights do you have on this startling revelation?
In a world where our savings are increasingly threatened by the volatile state of the U.S. dollar, Robert Kiyosaki, the renowned author of Rich Dad, Poor Dad, has emerged with a stern warning. He's urging Americans to act and to act now. Imagine your hard-earned savings vanishing as the dollar weakens. And according to Kiyosaki, there is a way to protect your future. He says invest in gold, silver, and even Bitcoin. As the BRICS nations allegedly gear towards sidelining the dollar, the urgency to act is more compelling than ever. And don't take this lightly. Stay with us for this special report as we break down the facts and separate reality from speculation. You don't want to miss the final thought, a moment that could redefine how you protect your wealth. Now, Robert Kiyosaki, the man whose financial advice has shaped the perspectives of millions, has recently taken to Twitter with an alarming prediction. The U.S. economy is on the brink, and when it falls, the only salvation will be gold, silver, and Bitcoin. Kiyosaki's words are not to be taken lightly, having penned one of the most influential personal finance books of our time. At the heart of Kiyosaki's warning is the U.S. dollar, the world's dominant reserve currency, which he claims is on the verge of losing its status. With the BRICS countries, Brazil, Russia, India, China, and South Africa considering a move away from dollar-centric trading, this prediction holds weight. Watch.
Now, the reason that's important is they hate America. And if you can get that picture, plus you have the Belt and Road Project, you have most of the world that's not, I'm going to hope you don't get censored for me saying this, but the world that they're going into is a non-Christian world. I'm not being, religious and all this. I'm not being political. I'm saying it's, Muslim, Hindu, Islam, and all this. So this is a very big move. It's because the world, who is not white, Anglo-Saxon, Protestant, Christian, like Australia, New Zealand, Canada, England, they're joining up against the Western currency called the dollar. And so the BRICS is not if, it's only when. Jim Rickards says it best. It's not if, it's when they switch to gold. That's what they're saying. I agree with him.
Wow. I mean, you're an advocate of returning to a gold standard. I mean, this is something that you wanted to see here in the U.S., right?
Well, I don't like to tell people, Trump is my really good friend. We wrote 2 books together, but I'm not political. It's a dirty game. So I say to people, I'm not Republican or Democrat, liberal or conservative. I'm a free agent. And I say to people, get back on your own gold standard. Why wait for the government to do it for you?
Yeah.
Just get on your own gold standard. So as you know, Danielle, all of these years, I'm a bro.
Now, despite official statements denying a BRICS currency, their collective push towards trading in local currencies is undisputed. And Kiyosaki takes issue with the increasingly fake nature of U.S. money, a reference to the excessive printing of currency that is not backed by tangible value like gold or silver. He paints a grim picture, and given the sweeping government spending in recent times, it's hard to dismiss outright. And just like a lifeboat on a sinking ship, gold and silver have been tried and true methods of survival during the stormy seas of economic downturns. They're tangible, real, and have intrinsic value, unlike the printed paper we consider money. They've weathered the most severe financial storms in history, while the passengers on the dollar Titanic have been left sinking in icy waters. Now imagine your life savings are a ship sailing uncertain seas. The U.S. dollar, once the proud flagship of our nation, has been tanking on that water since the 70s, losing 85% of its value since decoupling from gold. The government is the reckless captain, printing more money as we head into stormy weather, potentially repeating the inflation surge of 9%. But you have a chance to change course. Secure your future with gold through Noble Gold Investments. With them, not only can you safeguard your wealth, you'll receive a 24-karat quarter-ounce gold standard coin for free. Visit noblegoldinvestments.com right now or dial 877-646-5347. They are a sponsor of this program, and even if you're not investing, call them and just tell them thank you. Now, I want you to trust, though. Trust in the gold standard. Trust in Noble Gold Investments. And continuing now, the value of gold has long been recognized as the buffer against economic instability. Silver, often overshadowed by gold, is cited by Kiyosaki as an even more promising long-term investment, notably because it's more affordable. And spot gold is now trading at an exorbitant rate compared to silver, making the latter an appealing and accessible choice for the average American. And not to be left behind, Bitcoin, the digital currency often dubbed the digital gold, is also on Kiyosaki's list. And he's predicting Bitcoin, you ready for this, to soar to $120,000 next year. Now, this isn't just about personal wealth, it's about national security. If the US dollar loses its global reserve status, the ramifications could be catastrophic. Now, take a look at this here. Kiyosaki points out to August 22nd of 2023 is a pivotal day when he expects the BRICS nations might announce a gold-backed digital currency, potentially causing trillions of US dollars to rush back home and send inflation soaring. Now, his advice is prepare and protect your assets before it's too late. And Kiyosaki is not alone in this belief. The Russian embassy in Kenya released a statement supporting the creation of a gold-backed trading currency among BRICS nations, while South Africa's ambassador to BRICS has tried to dismiss such rumors. As you saw in the previous headline, it doesn't negate the apparent intention of these nations to pivot away from the US dollar. In this context, Kiyosaki's advice to invest in gold, silver, and Bitcoin appears less like a radical move and more like a logical response to a rapidly changing global economic landscape. As Western sanctions against Russia intensify following the Ukraine invasion, BRICS nations are accelerating their shift from a dollar-centric world. In an era of ever-growing national debt and irresponsible fiscal policy, Robert Kiyosaki's advice seems less like a panicked cry and more a wake-up call for all Americans. He's urging us to take control of our financial destiny in a world of uncertainty. Kiyosaki's message is clear. Don't just save your money, save your future. The clock is ticking. The time to act is now. Will you heed his advice? Will you safeguard your assets against what may be the biggest economic shift of our lifetime? Or will you, like so many before, choose to navigate these stormy seas without a solid plan? These are questions every American must ask as we face a future that is anything but certain. So why does this story matter to the American people? Because it's not just about the future of our wallets, it's about the future of our nation. If Kiyosaki's predictions hold true, we could be on the precipice of an order where the United States no longer holds the reins. The American dream could transform into an American nightmare if we remain passive. As our government seemingly disregards the plummeting value of our currency, we the people have the power and the duty to act. Kiyosaki's words serve as a clarion call, urging us to protect our hard-earned savings and, by extension, our nation's standing in the world. It's not alarmism, it's a call to action. And that action is simple. Invest in gold, silver, and Bitcoin. Safeguard your future, and in doing so, preserve the integrity and strength of the United States of America. Now shifting to Janet Yellen, apparently had an intriguing dinner in China. It's making waves. So what can you tell us about this unexpected event, Angie?
Treasury Secretary Janet Yellen is facing scrutiny for consuming hallucinogenic mushrooms during a visit to China. Admitting to the oversight in a CNN interview, Yellen's seemingly nonchalant attitude towards the incident has raised eyebrows. While she brushed off the questions about potential hallucinations or side effects, critics questioned her judgment and the risks she took as a top U.S. official. Social media has erupted with criticism, and there are increasing calls for her resignation. Allegations also swirl about potential intentional serving of the mushrooms to Yellen to influence her decisions, intensifying suspicions towards the Biden administration's motives and alliances. Dive deeper, get the whole story by tapping the link in our bio. And now Gary has the latest on Trump's anticipated move regarding the Georgia cases. Gary, what's the buzz?
In the face of relentless and highly questionable legal battles, the 45th President of the United States, Donald Trump, is stepping into the ring with a move that promises to shake the nation. The date, Monday, August 21st, at the historical Bedminster, New Jersey, Trump vows to hold a press conference where he will release a report. Not just any report, an irrefutable and conclusive report. A report that he passionately believes will lead to his complete exoneration in the controversial Georgia 2020 presidential election tampering case. As indictments swirl and tensions mount, Trump prepares to throw a counterpunch that could alter the narrative once and for all. And tonight we dive into the implications of this impending announcement and how it could redefine the political landscape. So keep watching the special report. You don't want to miss our final thought that could change the way you see this entire saga unfold. Now, just this past week, Fulton County District Attorney Fani Willis, a Democrat, handed up a staggering 41-count indictment against Trump. His former personal lawyer, Rudy Giuliani, his former chief of staff, Mark Meadows, and 16 other alleged co-conspirators. This indictment is rooted in alleged violations of Georgia's Racketeering, Influence, and Corrupt Organizations Act, or the RICO Act, as well as charges including solicitation, of violation of an oath by a public officer, conspiracy, and filing a false statement. President Trump, however, is fighting back fiercely. On Truth Social, he unleashed a powerful promise, a large, complex, detailed, but irrefutable report on the presidential election fraud which took place in Georgia. And according to Trump, this report is set to deliver a knockout blow that will force all charges to be dropped against him and others involved. Now, one burning question looms large. Why did he wait 2.5 years to bring this report to light? As Trump himself framed it, his timing is not a coincidence. He suggests the indictment timing was strategically planned to cripple his political campaign. He labels it a witch hunt timed for maximum damage. And why now? Well, Trump argues this is strategic, to combat what he sees as a targeted, politically motivated attack. It's no secret that since the day he stepped into the Oval Office, he was under intense scrutiny like no president before him. Is this indictment another play in a larger scheme to suppress Trump and his allies, or is it a genuine pursuit of justice? Well, he isn't the first to face this. Politics in America has a long history of using legal troubles as a weapon, but Trump's case stands unique due to his monumental and polarizing presence on the world stage. This report, he contends, is his shield and his sword, a dual tool to protect his name and cut through what he sees as a thick web of deceit spun by his opponents. And speaking of timing, consider this analogy, because it's astonishing how America's health can reflect the state of its politics. And according to new U.S. health data, 73.6% of adults are overweight, with further 40% of those adults being obese. Now here's the parallel. Just as Trump is taking action to cleanse the political scene with irrefutable evidence, you can take action to cleanse your body. Introducing a supplement containing CLA, a naturally sourced ingredient shown to reduce fat storage while boosting fat breakdown. It's as if this CLA is blocking your ability to store needless fat, much like Trump blocking the needless accusations with his report. So act today for an exclusive 51% off plus additional free bonuses. Secure your health at trimwithgary.com or click the link in the description below. Act now, as time, much like politics, is of the essence. And continuing with our main narrative, the complex Georgia indictment case is not just a battleground for Trump. Former Trump lawyer Sidney Powell, who was dismissed from Trump's legal team in 2020 and has faced significant discredit, appears to be an early favorite to be discarded by the co-defendants in this intricate legal quagmire. Finger-pointing is a staple in such cases, and predictably, it's running rampant. Between Donald Trump's looming legal troubles and the web of scandals surrounding Joe Biden and the Biden family business, we are indeed gearing up for a 2024 presidential election like none other in American history. The future of Trump's political life hangs in the balance, and this report is more than paper and ink. It's a potential path back to political viability, a refutation of the relentless attacks he's faced since leaving office. His opponents, meanwhile, are hoping this is a political epitaph, a final chapter in a tumultuous saga. But here's the kicker. In a nation of roughly 340 million people, who would have ever thought we'd be facing such a political maelstrom not once, but twice? In this climate, Trump's upcoming announcement isn't just newsworthy, it's a pivotal moment that could reshape the narrative and influence the future of American politics. As the day of Trump's press conference approaches, America waits with bated breath. Will this report be the key to unlock his return to power, or will it be a hollow echo in the chambers of justice? Whatever the outcome, this is more than a story. It's a defining juncture in the ever-evolving tale of American democracy. And the stakes are monumental as Trump steps up to deliver what he insists is definitive proof the nation holds its breath. This isn't just about one man's fight to clear his name. It's about the very integrity of our electoral process and our trust in the institutions that govern us. It's an illuminating testament to the state of our fractured and tumultuous political climate. If Trump's report proves to be the irrefutable evidence he claims, it would not only exonerate a former president, but could significantly alter the political landscape as we know it. It would set a precedent, highlighting the lengths to which political opponents may go to damage each other, even if it means compromising the bedrock of our republic: fair and free elections. America is watching, waiting, and wondering. In this defining moment, the truth is not just an option, it's an imperative. Now over to you, Angie, with the latest revelations from Hillary's interview in the wake of the Trump indictment. Oh, and guess what? I'm going to go a little bit deeper in a little bit. What do you got, Ange?
In a recent MSNBC interview, Rachel Maddow and Hillary Clinton discussed the importance of election integrity amidst ongoing claims of voter fraud. This dialogue came ahead of a grand jury decision related to Trump's post-2020 election actions. Maddow's concerns about election doubt contrast sharply with Clinton's stance on the 2016 elections and alleged Russian interference. The conversation delved into divisive tactics, with Clinton referencing the weaponization of loneliness. Critics argue that such narratives by the media and certain political figures only deepen social divides. As debates about election irregularities in the 2020 race persist, there's a growing call for transparency and open discussion rather than demonizing those raising concerns. Dive deeper, get the whole story by tapping the link in our bio. Gary, it seems we're about to uncover the mystery pen behind Biden's tweets. What can you tell us?
You've probably heard the old adage, it's better to remain silent than to be thought a fool, than to speak and remove all doubt. Well, the world's top comm director, Karine Jean-Pierre, seems to have missed that memo entirely. We're about to dive deep into her latest Twitter blunder that's not just a simple typo. Oh no, this one might just have exposed the biggest secret of the Biden administration. If you've ever pondered over who's been ghost tweeting for President Biden, today might be your lucky day. And trust me, you'll want to stick around for our final thought, because the implications of this gaffe reach far beyond a simple Twitter faux pas. In the ever-evolving world of politics, where every move is scrutinized, a tweet can say 1,000 words. And when the White House press secretary tweets as if she were the president, well, let's just say it reveals a lot more than 1,000 words. On what seemed like an average Tuesday, Karine Jean-Pierre took to her Twitter and posted, "When I ran for president, I made a promise that I would leave no part of the country behind." The simple oversight? Maybe, but in the world of politics, such slip-ups raise eyebrows and lead to significant speculations, and this was no exception. And for those out of the loop, Jean-Pierre is not the president. She never ran for office, yet for a solid 20 minutes, this tweet lingered on her timeline before being hastily removed. Now, 20 minutes might seem short, but in the world of the internet, it's an eternity, long enough for netizens to screenshot, share, and come to their own conclusions. And speaking of slip-ups and ensuring we're in top shape, remember Mike Lindell, the genius behind MyPillow? Well, he ensures Americans stay comfortable in a way. Isn't that what we need from our administration too? Alertness, attention, and no sleeping on the job? If only Jean-Pierre had the secret formula to MyPillow's comfort, staying alert, avoiding blunders. And for those of you wanting to experience Lindell's magic, Next News Network is offering the Giza Dream Sheets and the mattress topper to make your nights blissful. And here's a treat. Use promo code NNN for a staggering discount of up to 66% at sleepwithgary.com. Back to our story. Such a glaring mistake gives more fodder to the speculation machine. How often does President Biden personally tweet? And if not him, who holds the reins of his social media presence? We've always had hints, like Biden's occasional verbal missteps, but this was a confirmation many never expected to see. If you imagine Biden penning his early morning or late night tweets, but the unwritten rule in politics is to maintain the facade, the appearance that the leader is engaged, even on social platforms. Well, this gaffe, It shatters that illusion. And Twitter, being the melting pot of opinions, had a field day. From sarcastic jabs like Seth Dillon's "This is shocking, no one could have guessed that Biden doesn't write his own tweets," to pointed remarks such as the Citizens Free Press tweeting, "KJP just tweeted a post meant for Joe Biden. These people couldn't run a lemonade stand." Yes, it was clear this was a feast for Biden's critics. And the Twitter crowd didn't stop there. Breaking 911 proclaimed, "Fail. Biden Press Secretary KJP just tweeted a post meant for Joe Biden's Twitter account," highlighting the absurdity of the situation. And Greg Price chimed in with a hearty LMFAO. Some White House staffer forgot to switch accounts. Even Midnight Mitch threw in his take, quipping Press Secretary firing off POTUS tweets from the account like, well, you can see the image he posted here. Definitely underscoring the perceived clumsiness within the White House communications team. Transparency is critical in the political realm. It ensures trust. We all knew at some level that not every tweet from a politician is their own. Aides, assistants, and PR teams play their part. But it's the illusion that matters. A tweet expressing condolences, foreign policy stances, or even a lighthearted comment on a sport game takes on a different tone when we're unsure of its true author. Now, any message from the president's account will be under scrutiny. Who penned it? Whose sentiment is it truly echoing? These revelations further the narrative that President Biden might not be as in control as many would hope. It feeds the skepticism about his actual influence over his administration's operations, further questioning the autonomy of his decision-making. Now, the mistake by Jean-Pierre isn't just a one-off. For many, it exemplifies an ongoing series of blunders. Remember the Maui fire briefing? It was not her finest hour. And critics might ask, how many more chances will she get? But as the narrative goes, it seems that she's shielded from the usual consequences by the very system that preaches fairness. Is this then the new normal for the administration? A time when simple but glaring mistakes in communication become commonplace, where those at the helm of information dissemination can't steer clear of easily avoidable pitfalls? Well, one might think this level of gaffes from a press secretary, the person tasked with being the communication bridge between the president and the public, would be unacceptable. But time and time again, it appears Jean-Pierre continues to defy the odds. In times when trust in politicians is already wearing thin for many Americans, these blunders aren't just about a tweet. They're about credibility. And as we see, once that credibility starts to crumble, it's not so easy to build it back up. At a time when the nation looks to the White House for leadership, clarity, and transparency, these moments do more than raise eyebrows. They raise fundamental questions about the competency and authenticity of those in the highest offices in our land. In the realm of modern politics, perception is reality. The tweets, the posts, the press releases, they're all meticulously crafted to present an image, an idea, a belief. Karine Jean-Pierre's slip paints a broader picture, suggesting cracks in the meticulously curated image of the Biden administration. We all knew politicians had help with their social media, but seeing the curtain pulled back this way forces us to question the authenticity of every single post. Today it's a tweet. Tomorrow, who knows what else might get exposed. As the American people, we deserve transparency, honesty, and genuine representation. This story is a stark reminder that in this digital age, every tweet, every post, every press release counts. And we must keep our eyes wide open, always seeking the truth behind the mask. And now, an NFL star is finally stepping up to the mic. What's the latest on this, Angie?
Michael Oher, the subject of the Oscar-winning film The Blind Side, has challenged the movie's portrayal of his relationship with the Tuohy family. In a petition filed in Tennessee, Oher alleges that the Tuohys never legally adopted him and instead used their relationship to profit financially from his success. The film, which grossed over $300 million, showcases Leigh Ann Tuohy, played by Sandra Bullock, as Oher's adopting mother. However, Oher contends he received none of the film's profits, while the Tuohys allegedly gained significantly. Oher claims that the conservatorship he consented to, believing it was akin to adoption, didn't provide him any family ties. As the courtroom drama is set to unfold, the true tale behind the blind side remains to be seen. Dive deeper, get the whole story by tapping the link in our bio. The White House is in damage control after the president's recent remarks amid the devastating Maui fires. What can you tell us?
As Americans from coast to coast tune in to witness the devastation that has shaken the idyllic island of Maui, President Biden's recent speech mishap in Milwaukee has ignited a storm of its own. Did he truly forget the name of an island suffering immense tragedy, an island with a rising death toll? Why would a president stumble so gravely during a time of national mourning? Well, tonight in this special report, we're diving deep. Stay with us as we break down the facts, and you certainly don't want to miss our final thought. This story is more than just a presidential slip. It reflects the very pulse of our nation. It was a somber Tuesday evening when President Joe Biden took the stage in Milwaukee. With over 100 lives lost in Maui's raging fires, the nation eagerly awaited a unifying message, a sign of hope and resilience from the leader of the free world. However, what they got was far from comforting. A president who appeared to joke that fire ruined his plan to keep his speech short and then forget the very name of the devastated island he was addressing. Watch.
I apologize because I try very hard to keep my speeches between 15 and 18 minutes. But I got to talk a little bit about Hawaii. I've been on the phone with the governor coming up here and the senators. And let me say, address that devastating wildfires, some of which are still burning in Hawaii. They've claimed the lives of 99 people so far, and they haven't cleaned things up yet. The deadliest wildfire in more than 100 years. A whole city destroyed. Generations of native Hawaiian history turned into ruin. FEMA, search and rescue teams are sifting through the ashes in that 5-mile area that you've seen on television that's been burned. It's painstaking work. It takes time, and it's nerve-wracking. Most of the debris can't be removed until it's done.
And then during his speech, Biden made reference to the horrific scenes, the one where you see on television all the time, seemingly drawing a blank on Maui. But Maui wasn't just any place. It was the heart of the tragedy. Watch.
In the immediate aftermath, the Coast Guard and Navy supported maritime searches and rescue operations. The Army helicopters helped fire suppression and efforts on the Big Island, because there's still some burning on the Big Island, not the one where you see on television all the time.
His subsequent reference to ongoing fires on the Big Island, though accurate, was another perplexing moment. Was it possible for a president, especially in such critical times, to mix up these islands? It's not just about forgetting a name. It's about recognizing the pain, the loss, and the heartbreak that hundreds of families are experiencing. It's about understanding the plight of the more than 3,000 people who've registered for federal assistance whose lives have been turned upside down. For a president known for his alleged empathy and care, this wasn't a simple error. It was a deep and wounding failure to connect with the pain and grief of Americans in crisis. At a time when victims' families were sobbing, when flames were swallowing homes and memories, Biden's disconnection was not just a blunder, it was a profound disrespect to the people of Maui. This was the moment for Biden to stand firm, to be the leader he promised he would be, but instead the nation saw what appeared to be confusion and disregard. Critics argue that Biden's subsequent efforts to correct the course did little to stem the tide of public opinion. Although he was quick to approve a federal emergency and showed intent to visit the disaster-stricken island with First Lady Jill Biden, many felt it was too little, too late. Republicans, never missing a chance to spotlight the shortcomings of their adversaries, were quick to criticize the president for not yet setting foot on the devastated island. But it wasn't the opposing party taking note. Cornelia Ng, a former Democrat member of Hawaii's state legislature, expressed his disappointment, saying, "I campaigned for you. Now when I lose dozens of my friends, family, and neighbors, this?" And of course, this tweet was promptly deleted. Adding salt to the wound was Biden's response, or lack thereof, after spending 2 hours at a beach in Delaware. When pressed for his reaction to the tragedy, the president merely replied, "No comment." In times of despair, silence often rings louder than words, and who will ever forget this moment? Watch.
President, any comments on the rising death toll in Maui?
Will you come talk about the Hawaii response, Mr. President?
No comment. This isn't merely a political game. Lives were lost, homes were destroyed, and a community was left reeling from disaster. In the face of such loss, the president's apparent lapse in memory reads as a slap in the face of those mourning and in need. It sends a message, intentionally or not, that their pain is forgettable, that their island, their homes, and their loved ones are just another blip in a busy presidential schedule. In response to the Maui fires, President Biden has announced a one-time payment of $700 per household. Watch.
FEMA also authorized one-time payments of $700 per household to folks who've been displaced so they can do the immediate things of just taking care of medications and prescriptions that they so badly need.
But this man was thoroughly insulted and pointed out the discrepancy in aid sent to Ukraine while the people of Maui suffer. Watch.
President, they need real help. $700? That's what you think the American people are worth? After they lost their homes, their lives, their businesses? Many children have perished in the fire and they died? And you offering them $700 as a one-time payment? While we're sending billions of dollars over to Ukraine? They need our help. They need you. This is the time for you to stand up and show that you care about the American people. At least at the end of your presidency, why don't you go out on a high horse and fly over to Maui and help them rebuild their lives? So instead of sending all the money overseas, and God knows where that money is going to, send the money to Maui. Send it to the local governments. Send it to the people. People are now turning on each other because they're starving. They're hungry. They've got no homes. They're turning on each other at gunpoint and robbing each other. Send the National Guard in. Help. So instead of sitting on a beach in Delaware, why don't you take your folding lounge chair and go sit on a beach in Maui? And get on your phone and talk to your people and say, get down here now and suffer with us together. They need your help. Tell us what we can do to help. Help me help you. They're starving. They're cold. They're hot. They're hungry. Their rain is falling on their head. They have nowhere to go. They're hungry. They're thirsty. They're turning on each other. Listen to me very carefully. Please get on a plane, get to Maui, and help our Hawaiian brothers and sisters. And that's all I got to say about that. Midnight, I am out. 1, 2, 3. Woo!
Wow. So much passion, so much pain. $700. Meanwhile, Ukraine gets millions. Now, sure, the Biden administration has taken steps to address the disaster, from the Federal Emergency Management Agency providing financial aid to displaced residents, covering costs of food, water, first aid, and medical supplies, to seeking a staggering $12 billion more for the government's disaster relief fund. But amidst these measures, a presidential gaffe of this magnitude risks overshadowing even the most sincere efforts. More than that, it echoes a chilling sentiment that no amount of FEMA aid can make up for the president forgetting the people of Maui. That dollars can't mend the heart torn by perceived neglect from the nation's highest office. Furthermore, as the search for victims continues and the economic aftermath becomes clearer, the weight of the disaster grows heavier. The Lahaina fire, the worst wildfire in the United States in 100 years, has already resulted in an estimated $3.2 billion in insured property losses. Prominent disaster and risk modeling campaign company Karen Clark and Company revealed that more than 2,200 buildings were affected by the flames, either being damaged or destroyed, with around 3,000 more harmed by fire or smoke. President Trump, he was quick to respond with this statement. Watch.
I would like to express my sympathy and warmest regards to the people of Hawaii, and specifically all of those who have been so gravely and irreparably hurt by the tragedy of the wildfires in Maui, something the likes of which have seldom been seen anywhere at any time. The death caused by this catastrophic event will be far worse than ever expected now that houses and cars and other areas are being inspected. The sad thing is, it should never have happened. Our government was not prepared, and very importantly, the aftermath is going very poorly, with the governor of the island wanting to do nothing but blame it on global warming and other things that just happened to pop into his head. When asked about it today, as he was getting into a car, perhaps coming home from the beach, where he has been spending a great deal of time, Crooked Joe Biden, the most incompetent president in the history of our country, with a laugh and a smile said he had no comment on the death and the tragedy. To say no comment is oftentimes fine, but to be smiling when you say it, especially against such a tragedy as this, is absolutely horrible and unacceptable. It is a disgraceful thing that Joe Biden refuses to help or comment on the tragedy in Maui, just as he refused to help or comment on the train derailment in East Palestine, Ohio, for a very, very long time. In any event, hopefully everyone will be able to pull together so that a horrible situation does not get even worse. To the families affected, I give you my love and sympathy. Nothing can ever replace your loved ones, but you will always have the memories and will feel their great love surrounding and embracing you. Together we will continue to carry their legacy forward, and I love you all very much. Thank you.
Even former Congressman Ron Paul weighed in. Watch.
Maui burns. Biden demands another $24 billion for Ukraine. I'm not a big fan of federal government disaster relief. The money never gets to those who need it most, and Washington's armies of disaster experts are more interested in pushing people around. Nevertheless, it's hard to look at the devastation in Maui and then hear President Biden tell Congress that he needs another $24 billion for Ukraine, while the rest of the United States disintegrates. Biden's new $24 billion request comes on top of well over $120 billion spent to fight the U.S. proxy war on Russia.
As the numbers rise, so does the question, can the Biden administration recover from this public relations disaster, much like Maui hopes to recover from the fires? And as the president plans his future visit to the island, one can't help but wonder, will the people of Maui feel comforted by his presence, or will they see a figurehead who forgot the name in their hour of need? In politics, perception is often as impactful as policy. And this incident, critics argue, may leave a lasting scar on the Biden presidency, one that speaks volumes more than any speech, any amount of aid, or any subsequent action that might be able to mend. America is a nation forged in adversity, where every tragedy brings an opportunity for unity. In these tumultuous times, leaders are expected to guide the way with clarity, empathy, and unwavering strength. President Biden's recent speech misstep serves as a poignant reminder that leadership isn't merely about politics or aid. It's about understanding, connection, and timely response. As Maui mourns, the nation watches, hoping for the leadership it deserves. In the end, this isn't a story. It's just not about a forgotten name. It's a testament to what the American people demand from their leaders: recognition, empathy, and the assurance that in times of crisis, they won't be forgotten. America deserves no less. Angie, it seems social media is buzzing after KJP's hasty tweet removal. What more can you tell us about it?
A tweet mishap from White House Press Secretary Karine Jean-Pierre has stirred discussions surrounding President Joe Biden's social media authenticity. Jean-Pierre mistakenly tweeted presidential remarks from her official account, hinting that Biden might not be the author of his tweets. This incident adds to concerns about the administration's transparency and organizational efficiency. Critics argue the leadership lacks genuineness and competence. Jean-Pierre's handling of the press and recent deflective tactics raise further questions, with indications suggesting President Biden might not actively helm his social media interactions. Doubts about his direct involvement in pivotal decisions persist. Dive deeper, get the whole story by tapping the link in our bio. That's all the news I have today. Now to Gary with our Prime Tweets segment.
Now it's time for our ever-popular segment, Prime Tweets. Last night we reached out with a multi-layered question touching on a range of pressing issues, from Trump's claims about the Bidens and foreign ties to Kiyosaki's warning about the U.S. dollar, the potential BRICS move for a gold-backed digital currency, Trump's upcoming report on the Georgia 2020 elections amidst his own indictment, concerns about the authenticity of tweets coming from the White House, and the heart-wrenching wildfires devastating Maui. We asked you, how are these events shaping the political and economic narratives and trust in leadership within the U.S.? And you, our engaged viewers, did not hold back, so let's dive in to your responses. Ricky Cannon shares, he says, I'm ashamed to be an American with what's happening with our government officials. Ricky, many share your sentiments. Trust in leadership is at a crossroads, and the need for authentic, dedicated officials is absolutely paramount. And Gary passionately states, nice name by the way, the Democrats have changed America, and not in a good way. They make decisions with no thought of the outcome, allowing millions into our country with no jobs for them. Biden is proving to be catastrophic to Americans. Concerns over policy implications and their impact on everyday Americans are palpable. We hear you, Gary. Now, James, he weighs in with, impeach the illegitimate presidency and administration of Biden and Harris for treason and sedition against the American people and the Constitution. What calls for constitutional adherence and leadership accountability continue to echo across our nation. There is no doubt about that. And Johan even remarked, he said, even so-called third world countries are laughing at America. How is it possible that you allowed yourselves to be pulled into humiliation? Johan, national pride and global perception are pivotal. Our nation's dignity remains at the forefront of many discussions. Yes, we are rather embarrassed by our leadership. And from Korean Elvis, he says, personally, as a lifelong resident of my home state of Hawaii, I have absolutely no confidence in my governor, my senators, my legislators, and anyone who has any power to help currently for my beautiful state. I just wish somebody could please care enough to help us. It's heartbreaking to see citizens feeling abandoned, especially in the face of such disaster. Genuine, committed leadership is the need of the hour. So thank you, America, for sharing your voices and perspectives. Your insights keep us grounded and help shape our discussions. And now, as we transition, get ready for a deeper dive into the world of politics with our next segment, Looking at You, where we spotlight not one, but two partners in crime, and it promises to be enlightening. Now, in tonight's Looking at You segment, we have a 2-for-1 special. Hillary Clinton and Rachel Maddow recently shared a rather telling chuckle over Trump's indictment in Georgia, revealing perhaps more than they intended. Take a look.
Former Secretary of State Hillary Rodham Clinton, I really appreciate you being here tonight. I apologize that it had to happen in the middle of this news wreck.
Yeah, I never would have guessed it, but here we are.
More often than not, there's going to be an indictment if you drop by at the right time.
I was going to say, just tell me when I should show up the next time. We'll see what he's charged with then.
Thank you, Madam Secretary. The new essay, as I mentioned,
perhaps we'd like to see you charged, Hillary. Well, Maddow, in her signature dramatic flair, opined about bad actors sowing distrust in our elections. Yet one can't help but wonder, isn't this the same duo that perpetuated claims of Russian interference post-2016? The irony is palpable. It tells you something not just about that person, Maddow remarked, referring to those who question election outcomes. Indeed, Rachel, it does. Watch.
If bad actors tell us falsely that every election is stolen and that the only way an election is trustworthy as if they come out on top of it, then something, it tells you something not just about that person or that moment. It maybe wounds us as a democracy in a way that is hard to repair.
Yeah, the only people wounding our democracy, wounding our republic, are those two. Now, questioning is one thing, but perpetuating narratives without substantive evidence is another. As they gleefully dissected another's misfortunes, one must ask, are they truly the champions of the republic as they claim to be? Or are they mere players in a political game? So tonight, we're looking at you, Rachel and Hillary, urging a little introspection before casting stones from your glass studios. As the curtain draws on tonight's N3 Primetime, let's distill what we've traversed together. A video from Donald Trump ringing alarms about possible foreign entanglements of the Biden family isn't just a political feud. It's a haunting question. Where do our leaders' allegiances truly lie? Robert Kiyosaki's dire financial forecasts amid potential global shifts isn't mere economics. It's a call to protect our homes, our futures, from the gales of an uncertain economic landscape. And Trump's forthcoming report on Georgia's 2020 election results isn't just about one state or election. It's about the sanctity and trust in our democratic process. And Jean-Pierre's Twitter mishap isn't just a fleeting error. It raises the poignant issue of authenticity and the imperative of genuine dialogue from our leaders. And the Maui's inferno, well, isn't just a distant disaster. It's a reflection of our collective need for swift, heartfelt leadership in times of crisis. In every story tonight lies the enduring spirit of America, the relentless quest for truth, and the essence of what binds us as a nation. Reflect, question, and always seek the truth, America. And that wraps up tonight's N3 Primetime. A big thank you to Angie for her insightful news briefs. She certainly kept us informed and intrigued. To each of you tuning in and sharing your thoughts on our live chat, you're not just viewers, you're part of this vibrant N3 community. As we delved into economic shifts tonight, it reminds us that just as in the 70s saw the U.S. dollar detach from gold and lose value, we may face new challenges ahead, but like gold, reliability endures. A special gratitude to our sponsor, Noble Gold Investments, and if you're looking for steadfastness amid the tumult, consider their offer. Invest and receive a free quarter-ounce gold standard coin. Visit noblegoldinvestments.com or give them a call at 877-646-5347. And even if you're not investing, just give them a call. Tell them thank you. Thank you for keeping this show going and giving you an opportunity for truth. They are a gold lifeline, one that I personally trust. So thank you for joining us, and if our stories resonated, do spread the word. Engage with us on Twitter and in the comments, and together, let's amplify the call for truth. I'm Gary Franchi. Remember, I am not here to cultivate followers. I aim to empower you to be leaders among your peers. Stay vigilant, and good night.